This is Transfiguration Sunday. I imagine some of you might be scratching your heads and muttering under your breath, "What the heck is that? Does it involve Botox?" I named my homily, How to Find Transfiguration in Our Own Lives. So hang on, here we go. No Botox or reconstructive surgery of any kind. It actually involves the transfiguration of Jesus in front of his disciples, somewhat like the older story of Moses on the mountain about to receive the Ten Commandments. So let us start with the Hebrew scriptures. This is from Exodus 24, verses 12 to 18. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and wait there, and I will give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction." So Moses set out with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God. To the elders he said, "Wait for us here until we come to you again. For Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has any dispute may go to them." Then Moses went up to the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it for 6 days. On the 7th day he called Moses out of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. Moses was on the mountain for 40 nights and 40 days. I can even imagine Moses at that point, a mere mortal, looking directly into the face of God. He had already taken off his sandals in preparation, because he knew he was on holy ground, especially after the bush in front of him spontaneously burst into flame. What thoughts and feelings must have grabbed him as he wondered if even he, the leader of the Hebrew people going through the desert day by day, would survive this once-in-a-lifetime event. But he did, so the story goes on. Then a similar event happened in the Christian scriptures, the transfiguration of Jesus in front of his favorite disciples, Peter, James, and John. This is from Matthew 17, 1 to 9. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John, and led them up to a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, "This is my Son, the Beloved. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Get up and do not be afraid." And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus ordered them, "Tell no one about the vision until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Here, too, we see the 3 favorite disciples lying on the ground in fear and awe, wondering what the heck was going on. After it was over, they asked Jesus if they could set up those tents just to stay always on the holy hill. But Jerusalem still beckoned. Again, we just hear of this one-time event through the many generations of Christians, so it seems at times it's a part of our history or an interesting story, much removed from the daily life of ordinary Christians like us. They were exclusive, Cecil B. DeMille-worthy events. What relevance might they possibly have? But I want to experience it too, to bring it alive into my own faith walk. Then I simply thought that maybe the transfiguration was simply seeing beyond ordinary life, that it's always there just a breath away. Then I saw this beautiful picture from a Facebook friend of mine. It struck me right between my eyes. Somewhere, sometime last year, these trees opened up to their full glory. The trees, the ground below, carpeted with abundant lavender flowers, and a path leading forward, beckoning them. But after spring ended, they lost their blossoms. Then in the fall their leaves, now probably still hibernating, engrossed on the other side of the table, with his eye there. He had a great comeback. "No, I'm texting you." My remark and his response made us both real-life people into those eyes, and I saw transfiguration in that brief encounter. Early that year, we were at another restaurant. Across from us was an older gentleman, deeply engrossed in his book, while his fish and chips grew cold. I imagined him a widower spending a quiet evening in the company of other people as he silently read his book. So I spoke to him from our table and asked him what he was reading. This led to us becoming animated, standing up and coming over our table as we had a wonderful conversation about mining and books about the history of Colorado. We stood transfigured together, while my patient spouse remained on the sidelines, probably thinking, "There she goes again." Yes, I did, and I would continue to do things like this, to break the thin veil that separates our ordinary lives from moments like this of transfiguration. I was thinking about a powerful ending to this homily last evening when I went to bed to cuddle with my cats. I had decided that I would go out the next day in our own yard, still frozen and hibernating in its long winter nap. And when I woke up, the world had magically been transfigured during the night. The God of Moses, Peter, James, and John had spoken directly to me by changing our hibernating yard into a winter wonderland. Each branch covered with snow sparkling in the early morning light, a deep calm. But the dog Chloe was still needing to go out, so when I opened the door, this is what greeted me. The severe cold had literally shattered our outer door, but the dog did not leap past me the way she always did for her early morning adventure, but stopped at the threshold of the newly broken door, confused. She was literally frozen in her tracks, not realizing she could actually go through the opening. It stopped by the... It reminded me of Pavlov's experiments with dogs that were in cages, where I believed there was an electric current keeping them from trying to get out, even when the kennel door was open. Chloe must have read the same book, because she kept standing there, unaware of the freedom newly beckoning her. I literally had to shove her out the opening. Even when she came back, she stopped on the other side before I coaxed her inside the house. The next time, however, she had learned that the way was already open and she just had to step through into a world of magic. I was actually going to post a picture of her here, but she ran through the newly opened door too fast for me to catch her. Break your remaining glass today. Step out and find a transfiguration event or object in your own life, just waiting for your eyes to see. All she left behind her was a leash that, along with her own thoughts, had been holding her back from transformation and transfiguration. If my dog could relearn so fast that her limitations were simply self-imposed, and that she was free to go out any time to find whatever transfiguration that was awaiting her, so can you. So today, open your eyes, step beyond your own self-imposed limits, and step into wonder. Step into your own transfiguration. Excuse me, I have to end now and go try to find my dog. Blessings.